This next one I'm going to show you is on the seam samples, is called a crossed seam. Now you will take 2 plain seam samples. Pin the 2 plain seam samples together, lining up intersecting seam lines. Now remember that we're going to do right sides together. So I'll turn this one here, that's the right side, and I'll take this one and set it right on top. Those of you that are in the classroom and at home, why don't you do that right now? So you're setting one laying face up and the other one face down so that the right sides are together. And when it says lining up the seams, it means right here. So if I peel this one back, you can see that the other one seam is here and one seam is here. When I get those seams to line up, I might need to shift my fabric a little bit until I get those seams to line up. When they line up, I go ahead and pin through one seam allowance and through the other seam allowance. And then I'm going to put a pin near this end and put a pin near this end. So I have pins here and pins there. And where I'm going to sew the seam is right across here. So I can put this in my machine, line up with 5/8 inch again, put my needle in, lower my presser foot. Remember to go forward and backwards at the beginning of this seam. When I get to these seam allowances right here, I have already pinned them flat open, and I sew right over those seam allowances. Taking out my pins as I go. It's best not to sew over pins. Some people will tell you it's okay, but once in a while that needle will hit a pin and you can break a needle or bend a needle. When I get to the end, I backstitch. Remember to raise your pressure foot, pull it out, cut it out past the edge of the machine. And now, when I look at it here, it looks like this. When I open it up and look on the inside, it looks like this. And I'm going to lay it down and just press it open with my fingers a little bit. And you can see how those 2 seams cross each other and form a plus. Or if I turn it like this, they form an X. Okay? You will take this over to the iron and press that seam open. Remember to trim your threads. On this side, this is the right side, those seams should line up fairly closely at the center, making like a 4 square on the playground, or in math, it's an X and a Y axis with quadrant 1, 2, 3, and 4. That is the crossed seam.